Thank you for tuning in to Think Tech Friday. I'm your host, Attila Seress. At Think Tech, every Friday, we try to raise public awareness about science, technology, globalism, diversification, and things that matter to Hawaii. Here today with us is Robert Yonover, and the topic of our show today is high tech on the high seas. Thank you for joining us today at the show.
My pleasure. It's good to be here, as always.
Now, Robert has got an extensive background, but before we get into all the high-tech mumbo-jumbo, we like to talk about something fun.
Okay.
And this week's fun is an app. So we have an app of the week.
Oh, great.
And this week's app of the week is Find My iPad. Now, have you seen the movie Hangover 3?
I think I saw 2. I don't think 1 and 2.
You missed nothing.
Okay.
But in Hangover 3, there's a critical plot point where somebody steals their car.
Right.
And their phone is in the car, and they say, "Oh, I wonder where the guy went."
Right.
I'll give it away to those of you watching. Of course, they go to Vegas, but that Find My iPad app allowed them to track that person there because the phone was in the car. Now, and that's a movie, but in real world situations, story from Gentry Homes here in Eva Beach.
Okay.
They had an iPad stolen from one of their vehicles, and within an hour and a half, they had retrieved it using the Find My iPad app, and the police had an arrest.
Oh, that's interesting.
So within an hour and a half, they had the product back, and they also had an arrest. So the Find My iPad app really works. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Now the best part about Find My iPad, I'm gonna bring it up over here on my tablet, but it's built right into the Apple iOS.
Okay.
So you do is you go to the settings and you go to there it goes, it's changing. You go to
It's tracking you already.
Yeah, it's tracking me. It went from my office straight to our studio here in downtown, and it's built right into there. So all you do is you go to your iCloud account and you select turn on Find My iPad. That's it. There's nothing to install, whatever.
And it goes right to the NSA office too?
It goes to probably law enforcement, and that's probably where the first place they go. But it uses Wi-Fi to do some triangulation, so it can. I'm not 100% sure.
It goes off cell phone towers though.
Yeah, but
it doesn't go off satellite.
This thing doesn't have GPRS built in though, so it's got to be using Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Well, so if it has Wi-Fi, boom, you find out where you are. It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And it's pretty accurate, as you can tell. It shows us as being right here at the Think Tech studio.
Okay.
So if you ever lose any of your Apple devices, just be sure to launch that Find My iPad app.
Okay.
Be sure to flip on your Find My iPad thing in your settings under iCloud, and you're done. That's it.
That's a good feature.
Now, of course, there's like 50 other apps that'll make your iPad scream. I've seen that on NBC Nightly News.
Scream?
Yeah, it'll make your iPad scream if it's been stolen.
Really?
So yeah,
or abused.
Or hey, this is a family-friendly show.
Okay,
so
sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a very cool app. So I encourage everyone to go ahead and turn on their location in the iCloud settings and download the Find My iPad app.
That sounds good. It's
now,
for iPhones too?
iPhones, and there is an equivalent for Android. It's called Find My, or Where's My Droid?
How about this phone?
That is a Kyocera phone, and the Kyocera phones are very good quality. So
no, this is the greatest.
What is the story behind this phone?
Well, I'm a high-tech guy, but I'm into low-tech. I'm anti-smartphones.
Why?
Because I think you need to think. Those things preach you everything, give you beautiful color pictures of everything.
Yeah.
So it takes away a little bit of your creativity and imagination. It's hard to discover and fail in life with those, and failing and discovering new things is really important, especially for kids.
It's interesting that you would say that smartphones are the enemy.
Absolutely.
Yet I looked up your information on Wikipedia on my smartphone.
No, I like people having access to them, and I do use a computer. I'm not like a, old-fashioned, like wind up a ham radio or something. I do use the internet, but I think it shouldn't be attached to us, because ultimately they're going to implant them, and they'll never be able to turn them off. They already are with Google, with the glasses. Mm-hmm. I just think we're all too connected.
So being disconnected gives you a chance to be creative, do you think?
Absolutely. And like a blank sheet of paper and a pencil versus all these beautiful images. It's like, I've always figured that the prettier the TV, the more you're going to watch it. So I always grew up with no TV or a little TV for news, and a big TV maybe in the bedroom when you really just want to watch an hour or two. But socially, never have a TV in the living room, because then people just stare at it like zombies.
You know, I noticed that also in a lot of restaurants. There's
Yeah.
TVs everywhere.
I know, it's horrible. People don't even talk to anybody. I mean, you're pretty good at it. You're good eye contact. Most people aren't.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, most people have lost that skill, especially younger people. They sit next to each other and text back and forth. My next business is going to be a cell phone blocker. You know, they're legal now. Now they're illegal public places, but they're legal in private places.
I remember back at UCLA, we had cell phone blockers. This was years ago. We had cell phone blockers because, you know, otherwise kids could text messages back and forth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, during a
that's
test.
absolutely. And then even in my teaching days, and my parenting days, and even when I have parties, all three instances I would want a blocker on, so people actually interact instead of the cell phones, smartphones. You know, I could do a whole hour on that. So I thought it would be a good opportunity, since you're talking about iPad Finder. I'd like to find an iPad loser.
iPad loser.
So you lose it, maybe just temporarily.
Well, you know, I think it's like everything else. I was reading an interesting, I know this is off topic, but a little bit interesting side note from the guy who created Twitter.
Right.
And he was one of the co-founders of LinkedIn. Forgot his name. It's on my iPad.
Sure.
I could probably show it to you.
Of course.
But it's, in fact, it's still open on my iPad. But it's very interesting because he was saying, you know, the internet and technology in general, people have seen for decades as this magic box, right? It can do anything.
Right.
Wow, you know, it's like Harry Potter in there, right? You know, you have it's an unlimited you know, vortex of things. But the people who are really successful in doing .com stuff or any sort of internet related industries take something that we've done for millions of years.
Right.
You know, like talk to each other, or you know, explain an idea to each other, or whatever, or have a conversation. Take that and make it easier.
Exactly.
So,
but that also,
it's a tool, right? It's a tool to be better connected, and he likened it to agriculture, right? Which was very interesting. So if you think about it this way, and this falls into, this is the point, you know, to what you were talking about. If you look at agriculture, right? Once we discovered agriculture, we were able to have more spare time. We were able to develop music and art and build houses and
instead of hunting,
you know, surf. Yeah, exactly. We don't spend all of our time and energy just to feed ourselves. So modern agriculture gave us that. But what's happened? Now we overeat, we have processed food, we have other problems because we overconsume the foods.
Well, and just to your line about making it easier, I actually, my philosophy is the exact opposite. I think harder is better. Everything in life that you get that's harder is better for you. You work harder, you get something that feels better. And cell phones and color TVs and smartphones, it's like pre-chewing. It delivers everything beautiful and ready for you. You don't have to work at all. When was the last time you got lost in a city? You can't get lost anymore.
The last time my cell phone ran out of battery.
Exactly.
Actually,
You're all linked to it. You can't live without it. And when was the last time you discovered something new, or ate somewhere without already pre-knowing from Yelp what it's going to taste like?
Just today, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on it then.
I am on it. I was disappointed with the place, but the food
that's
was
okay.
good. Yeah.
But that's part of the deal.
It's part of life, right?
Yeah, life shouldn't be perfect and easy all the time. And it's the hard times that make you, you know, innovative and creative.
Well, isn't that the whole point? Is that when you get out, and this was Mark Cuban's, you know the guy on Shark Tank. This was his thing.
He owes me money.
He owes you money. How much money?
A lot.
Really?
Well, potentially.
Potentially.
Well, no,
he potentially owes you a lot of money.
Yeah, he's one of the. He invested in a paddleboard company, inflatable paddleboard company.
On Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Really?
And I invented the inflatable paddleboards. So it's kind of it was a line I planned to say to him if I ever meet him. Either thanks for the royalty check or you owe me one.
I have his email address.
Do you?
Yeah, because
he talks to you.
Well, we've been preparing. I've been preparing to go on to the Shark Tank show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
For that product I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, so you made it?
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, you're trying to get on.
Just waiting for that phone call for the filming. So.
All right. Good luck.
It's going to be exciting. Yeah.
Okay. Tell Mark I said hello. You know he doesn't know me.
I'll ask him to write you a blank check. How's that?
No. Let's
see if he does that.
I don't think so.
But So anyway, so you're saying that this is kind of giving you back, having a little bit of downtime gives you that opportunity
Well,
to.
for me, I go into nature where it's impossible. I like to go out 20 miles offshore in a boat or just paddle offshore. Anywhere where there are no cell phones, I really can clear my mind and attack real problems or little manini problems of the day, whatever. Either way, I don't have the distractions of land. To me, land is where all the hassles are. And it's okay to have them. That's good. I'm glad I come back to land, but when I go in the ocean or up in the mountains, I can think about the problems. I just think more clearly.
And that brings us to probably why you're here today,
Right.
which is the sea rescue.
Yeah.
You probably went 30 miles offshore and said, "Oh no, what if
Well,
something
actually,
happens?"
we were
right?
in a rented plane, and my friend was flying it, and it sounded like a wounded Volkswagen Beetle, and I thought we were going to go down. And I looked down, and all I saw was water. And I said, I'm a good swimmer, but they'll never see us because your head's the size of a coconut. You ever seen a coconut from a plane? It's impossible. So I had started researching the literature, and people that were lost at sea that are lucky enough to live, they all say the same thing. Why'd you fly over me? Why didn't you see me? And that just gave me the idea, you need a bigger target. And a week later, I flew to Florida and saw Christo, the artist, had wrapped the islands of Miami in pink plastic.
Right, I saw that.
So I thought, just a piece of the pink plastic would work. And then, so I made like a long orange tail, but it curled up and twisted up. But then I figured out to put struts in it, or spreader bars, so it's like a centipede, it won't twist up. And that was the breakthrough. And it works on land or water, and it gives you a long tail. So instead of a coconut, you're a coconut with a 25 or 40 foot long orange tail.
And then they'll see that
Yeah,
because it's not
absolutely.
natural. There's no way that
Right,
you can
there's
get
no
it.
orange eel in the ocean or orange eel up in a mountain. So, I brought a couple with me, and then, they're small, they're little things, and you pull them out, and then, here, I'll show you one.
I'm afraid to touch it because it's going
No,
to
it's-
jump open like a jack-in-the-box.
It's just a roll of material, that's it. And the new ones pop out automatically for the fighter jets. All the militaries approved them, they're used all over the world, it's saved 4 lives already. They have reflectors. The new ones,
Well, this is durable, too.
yeah, it's high density polyethylene. It's like the plastic bags, but it's thicker and strong, and it's more planar. It doesn't crinkle as much. And there's the spreader bars here, so these white bars, so it keeps it from spreading up, from twisting. You see how it kind of curls like that. And then we have fighter pilot auto deploy one. When it hits the water, it dissolves. I was based on the idea of rice paper candy. Gave me the idea about plastic that dissolves. But we wanted to bring this to the civilian market, and we started to use military grade chem lights and Solus grade or military grade reflectors. So you break these, and there's a window, so no matter which side, sometimes the streamer's on this side of the water or land, sometimes it's on this side. So this gives you light on both sides. And you could see it from miles away, and the Navy, when they first approved it, called it the only passive and continuous signaling device. So you can put it away. Smoke signals, flares, sea dye all drift away.
I
And
see.
you only get one shot. This you can unfurl, mark, pull it in, run around, hide if you want. It's tactical too. And it's a real huge advantage.
Oh, tactical. I
Yeah.
see. So bomb here.
Well, like in
And then
Vietnam,
run away.
they would light a purple smoke bomb to get picked up. And the enemy realized that when they light a smoke bomb, that if helicopters coming in, they'd shoot them. This way, you can go to a clearing and just unfurl one, and the smaller one fits in your pocket better than that one.
Wow.
And you just on the run unfurl these things. And this one has a light too, and the reflectors.
That's probably just as effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's even though it's smaller.
And again, for electronics, just to finish the point, electronics like EPIRBs or emergency positioning indicator radio beacon or GPS, they give you GPS location. Even if you know where the person is in the ocean or the mountain, that doesn't make your head bigger than a coconut.
Right.
You still need a visual. And that's for sea rescue. You have
this
to be seen to be rescued.
And this is perfect for land or sea. Really. I mean,
exactly.
you can throw it up and through some trees.
Huge. Hikers, divers, boaters, sailors, anyone that goes outside.
Well, we have to take a quick break.
Sure.
But I encourage anyone who's watching, who's thinking of flying, to go to
Searescue.com.
searescue.com because I'd feel a lot safer flying with one of these. Cool. All right, this is Think Tech. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for Think Tech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Hori. Mahalo.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard of Kumukuhua Theater, and when I was young I used to love watching Charlie Chan movies on Family Classic TV on Sunday afternoons. Our show at Kumukuhua that runs from August 22nd through September 22nd is called Will the Real Charlie Chan Please Stand Up? It's written by Nancy P. Moss and takes place right here in Chinatown. I really hope you'll come in and watch it. You will love it. It's everything about the movies that you loved and more. Go to kumukuhua.org to get more information and your tickets. We'll see you there.
Hi, welcome back. You're tuned in to Think Tech Friday. I'm your host, Attila Seress, and we're here with Robert Yonover, and we're talking about sea rescue, high tech on the high seas from here in Honolulu. Robert, thanks for staying with us.
My pleasure.
You know, before the break, we were talking about troubleshooting and how you're inspired to find solutions to problems, such as
Right.
being stranded,
Right, exactly.
you know, in the middle of the ocean. And we talked about how Mark Cuban was another successful person who owes you money, and he's he made his fortune by going places, turning off his phone,
Right.
turning off the TV, and just paying attention and saying, "Wow, what could this be?"
Yeah, observation.
Observate. Oh, go figure.
Of necessity. I
You don't
mean,
need to do this
well,
all
that's
the time to
whole point.
observe.
You're hypnotized by those things. They're beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful pic. It's too pretty, really. When it's just you and your mind and a problem, you can attack. And that's the way I look at things. And it's just unfortunate. That's why I really harp on it for kids, because kids growing up, and whoever thought of calling them smartphones, that was the brilliant marketing coup of all time. Because it makes you think you're doing something smart when it's really dumb.
Well, how about the smart car? How do you feel about that?
Wants to drive themselves?
No, those little tiny cars. The
Oh
size
yeah,
of
those
a-
are great till you get hit. I'm kind of paranoid of dying in cars. I was in a bad wreck one time and ended up upside down in water. So
Oh.
I believe in strong cars and seat belts and airbags and all that.
And so you don't ride a bicycle or anything like
I
that?
do ride a bike, but I wear
Oh.
a helmet. I do wear a helmet.
Hmm.
But I measure my risks. I take a lot of risks, but they're always measured by I either train if I'm surfing or boating or whatever I'm doing, or try to buy the strongest car I can and try to be as safe as possible.
You know, that's the thing. When it comes to gas mileage and all that other stuff, it means nothing when you got a real expensive hospital bill and you're
Exactly.
in pain and suffering for the next 20 years.
Right. So I try to cross between a really strong chassis or like a Volvo Saab, which are the best, versus a car that's going to last and not be so.
Well, there's the best mix. There's the Tesla, safest car in America now. Model S.
Did one just catch on fire the other day?
Yeah, they catch on. So what? Cars catch on fire. But, in terms of an impact.
Bring some ahi and blacken it.
Yeah. You can get out of that pretty quick. Yeah, there was one that caught on fire like a year ago. And
No, one this week.
Was it this week?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'll look it up on the break.
The stock just plummeted because of that.
Now's the time to buy. I'm telling you.
No, it's cool. I'm into electric cars. That's absolutely. It's very. But I still believe, like the smart car, it looks too small to me. And if everyone drove them and you got in a wreck, that's fine. But what if a full-size pickup hits your smart car? You're dead.
Or just a Volkswagen Beetle, like you said.
Right.
Just a small car hits
Exactly.
you.
That thing is tiny. I think if it hits me on the bike, it might go down. But
Oh, no. I think, who was it? Someone was telling me, I think it was one of my guys who's telling me that him and his workers picked one up and moved it.
they're tiny.
You can-
I know.
like
the
two people
Cinquecento in Italy, they have those little 550. They're bringing them here now, but they have little tiny cars just like that.
Really?
In the old days, they still have them.
The Fiats are like that.
Right.
I know the new Fiat they had to make a lot bigger because I
Right,
think
because it's American size.
us big Americans.
Supersize it.
Well, back to your awesome product. So
Thank you.
tell me, what does the circle and square mean?
Well, that's the international distress signal. So it basically became our trademark, and all it means is this means that another boater or hiker should know that you're in trouble. But if you've got an orange 25-foot long tail out, they're going to know you're in trouble whether you have the trademark out or not. So it just became our trademark, but that's what it does mean in international signaling. That is the
And these little reflectors,
yeah,
these are
the
just to
reflectors
reflect
on
light.
both sides. These are Solus grade, the best ones you can get, and you can see them for a while. The other nice thing about this combination is you have, in the original streamers were day only. Now you have night capability, active night capability, a glowing light for 12 hours. And then even if this dies and they haven't found you, you still have the ability for passive signaling. So they hit it with a spotlight or moonlight, they can see this. These are really powerful reflectors.
Is there a way to maybe spray this with like glow-in-the-dark paint or something like
Yeah,
that?
we had a phosphorescent option at one time, and we're looking into different ways to build these light tubes. We have electronic light tubes with LEDs also, but the price point's way higher, and most people don't want to pay a lot. And the nice thing about chem lights is this keeps the theme of the streamer, which is so simple, there's nothing to go wrong. There's no batteries or electronics.
It's true,
And
yeah.
in a saltwater environment or hiking, things get beat up and abused, and then you go to turn it on just like your cell phone and it doesn't work and you're screwed. This thing works every time because it's just a piece of plastic. It's an elegant piece of plastic, but it's still just a piece of plastic.
Now, this is your newest baby, but you've
Right,
done a lot
actually
of
this is
other
my
stuff.
oldest one. That's
This
the
is-
newest version of my oldest one.
Of your oldest one.
Yeah, this is a 20-year-old, I invented this 20 years ago when I first came here to do my PhD work on volcanoes.
Wow.
Yeah, but my second one was my inflatable paddleboard rescue board. That's the one, the Mark Cuban thing, and that was really cool. The military and just life rafts in general used to have floorboards with drop stitch nylon. So instead of stitching something closed, it drops the stitch. So there are thousands of strings. So when you inflate this, it doesn't bulge up, and you can inflate it to like 15 psi instead of like 2 psi. So they use it for the floor of life rafts so they didn't bend. When I saw that, I immediately thought of, I'm going to make inflatable surfboards, rescue boards, paddle boards. And fast forward 10 years, the stand-up paddleboard thing is just taken off. And stand-up paddleboards are huge. They can hit you in the head, you get stitches in the head, they're hard to carry. These inflatables are like the size of a duffel bag. You pump them up in 5 minutes. They can bounce off rocks, bounce off your heads.
Oh, because
And
it doesn't
they're-
have the weight
Yeah,
factor.
and but they're stiff enough to support your body. I mean, I think we have pictures of them somewhere. Here's a.
Oh, look
yeah.
at you. This is.
Oh yeah, this is a nice. I just got this today. I got UH did a little story on me. I guess they're finally accepting me at UH as one of the graduates.
After you got a PhD there?
Yeah,
They'll
well,
accept
no,
you?
yeah. Anyway, that's the board. Maybe that's not the best shot, but that's me just sitting on it. And
I see a little
normally it
pump
would
right
flex, and there's a streamer. Yeah, there's a little air pump, streamers behind me. But I'm a big guy, and a normal inflatable without drop stitch, that would flex up like a taco. But this stays, and one of the other reasons it was invented was the typical one-man life raft for the military is a tiny little thing and you lay in, and the military guys have 2 nicknames for it. One is Shark Taco, meaning they're coming to get you, and the other is a coffin. So either way, my invention and vision of the rescue board was to paddle to safety instead of just sitting there and waiting. So
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah, so that was kind of one of my things, and it just kind of took off. What's ironic about it is when I first invented it, stand-up paddleboard wasn't even possible, wasn't even in vogue. Even though I have pictures of me standing on it that we wanted to show how rigid it was. So I was standing on paddleboards a long time ago, but now it's all caught up and it's really taken off. And the Mark Cuban thing is half a joke. It is true though. I mean, one of the company he invested in on Shark Tank does make and sell them all over the country.
And so they use your. Now you have a
We
patent. you
license
said
it out.
on-
Yeah, I mean, I have a patent on the broad, all the inflatable boards, and it's a really broad patent. And I don't really like to go for patents unless they're broad and enforceable. So
Could you do like a whole boat? Like a
yeah,
real.
they do. They have boats that are inflatable, and in fact, my rescue board. One of the things I'm working on is making a drop stitch superstructure so we can drop it out of airplanes and drive it like a robot. Because when people are lost at sea, the helicopter doesn't have the range to get to them, but a plane does, and they throw a raft out the back doors, but the raft isn't going to hit you on the head. If it does, you're dead. But if it hits you near you, it drifts away. You can never get to it. So the idea is when it hits, you drive it from the plane remotely, like a drone, to the people that need to be rescued. So drop stitch is another application. They use it on rigid hull inflatable boats, that inflatable side. They use it all over. They make little housing out of it, emergency housing.
I wonder, would it be possible to automate sea rescue using drones?
To deploy it?
Yeah.
Well, we did automate it. I mean, I worked with the Air Force, and I'm kind of a polite pain in the ass. I'm going to keep talking to you till you either buy something from me or equip. I'm trying to save lives, but I'm also trying to promote my technology. And the Air Force years ago said, beat it until this thing self-deploys and works at night. So I went back to the drawing board and came up with, I used rice paper candy. That gave me the inspiration. You know how it melts in your mouth?
Okay, yeah.
I found the company that made the plastic that uses in your dishwasher, those dishwasher pouches.
Yes.
So we made little string out of that, and instead of the streamer being rolled up like this, it's Z-folded. And then we put a pouch around it, we tie it with these water-soluble ties, and there's photosensitive light tubes in there with LEDs. So when the fighter pilot ejects out, parachutes down, and he or she could be dead or unconscious. When it hits the water, within a half hour, those water-soluble ties dissolve, streamer comes out, the photosensors detect whether it's day or night. If it's night, it'll flash for 12 hours, turn off when there's light in the morning, turn on the next 2 nights again. We got a safe-to-fly approval for all the F-16, F-15 ejection seats. The U.S. Air Force uses it, the U.S. Air Guard, the Singapore Air Force. I'm meeting with the Japanese Air Force in 2 weeks, and that's really exciting because they lose fighter pilots. Ejecting out of a fighter pilot is not a mellow scene. I mean, you get hurt when you go out hundreds of miles an hour, so that's why they're always injured when they come out. So they can't deploy things. That's why they wanted it self-deploying. So we do have kind of a robotic version of it already.
And but these actual seats themselves, I thought they had GPS units or something built in. They don't work?
They sink, I think. When the pilot goes out of the seat, he goes out. The seat separates away. The parachute deploys in the air, and so does the raft. Actually, when they're coming down, the Navy deploys the raft when they hit. The Air Force deploys, and it deploys automatically. So even and he's tethered to it. And when they hit the water, they've had instances where the parachute still pulls them, and they've drowned before. One of the companies I work with has a parachute release that senses water and releases, so they detach from the parachute. So this all happens automatically, and this is part of the equipment that they're using.
Who knew? Yeah. I like it.
In fact, the streamer is now on the F-35s too, which is really
the new ones.
Yeah, that's the coup of all time. It's a $500 million most expensive plane in the world, and it's got my little piece of orange plastic on it, which I think I get a kick out of that. And hopefully it'll save some lives. The streamer's already saved 4 lives that we know about, which is really exciting.
Well, I want to hear about that when we get back from the break.
Sounds good.
You're tuned in to Think Tech Friday. I'm Attila Seress here with Robert Yonover. We're talking about sea rescue, new technology, or should I say old technology made new.
So always improving.
That actually works to save lives when people are lost at sea or on land. Yep. Even, yeah.
Exactly.
It's great even in the Arctic.
Oh yeah, for the hikers, everyone in snow.
Cool. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I'm Bill Spencer, president of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. We do monthly luncheon programs with ThinkTech about things that matter to Hawaii entrepreneurs, investors, and business service providers. So join us on the 4th Thursday of every month at the Plaza Club. For information about upcoming events or to join our mailing list, visit hvca.org. See you there.
We're back. We're live, and you're watching Think Tech Friday. I'm your host, Attila Seress. We're here with Robert Yonover from Sea Rescue. We're talking about his new technology that allows fighter pilots and anyone who's lost at sea or on land.
Or in space.
Or in space. Wow, that's timely.
The patents talk about space, too. And you know what's timely is that movie Gravity that's come out. Sandra Bullock, I believe, from the commercials, is lost in space.
Yeah.
Same problem. Your head's a coconut. So if you're flying around in space, you need a long orange streamer with a light flashing on you, and they have a better shot of finding you.
Well, and that's the thing is that, space is the next frontier, so maybe it's time for you to give a call to SpaceX or
Yeah,
Virgin
exactly. I'm
Galactic.
waiting for the Richard Branson's call back. I still haven't got that yet.
Well, in space, maybe there's some brightly covered orange satellites
true.
out there. How about a different color for space?
Good point. I mean, and this is, people always ask, why did you go orange? Orange is the international orange. The Coast Guard approves the color orange for many reasons, especially in the ocean. And the Air Force, when they came out here, they want us to go to yellow. But then I proved to them that yellow starts to look like the white of whitecaps, especially different times of the day. We did sell some yellow ones to the Border Patrol guys years ago, because an orange dirt, red dirt on the border, orange isn't as good as yellow. But that's a very specialized. And the original design was fluorescent pink.
Oh, that's awesome. That's festive, too.
I know, and it used to roll up into this hat, like a Curious George newspaper hat. So which I still think is a good idea, because you want to protect your head from the sun and keep it warm at night. But I showed it to this Navy captain, and he was kind of a macho guy, and he said, look, lose the pink and lose the hat, and you got something. I mean, so he was kind of...
You can put a drink up there?
Yeah, well, and even one of my other inventions, I invented a pocket desalinator. I don't know if I told you about that.
No, but I think that's fantastic. That I think is very useful. I don't know why we don't have mass desalinization out here.
I know, well...
It's electrolysis, come on.
Exactly. Well, I attacked the survival world version, which is when you're lost at sea or a hurricane comes and there's no potable drinking water, a couple sips a day will save you. And I use Gore-Tex type material, which has thousands of Gore-Tex, tiny little holes. It's expanded Teflon, so the water, it's good for a raincoat. That's why it's all raincoats use it. The water bounces off of it, but air goes through it, so it breathes, you don't sweat. I use it in reverse. I made a double bag. The inner bag's black with a Gore-Tex lens, Gore-Tex-like lens, and a clear outer bag. You put salt water or polluted water in, the sun heats it, it evaporates, and only the vapor goes through. The fat salt crystals get stuck, and then it recondenses on the inside of the outer bag, and you can drink it. You get a mouthful every couple hours.
That's enough to live.
I know, but
The
military wants a liter a day, so I'm trying to improve the capability of it right now. I'm still doing some testing, but it's patented and it's all, the military already funded it, and it's a really cool technology, and it's going to be, the future wars aren't going to be about oil. It's going to be about water. Water is everything. We can't live without water. We're made of water, so fresh water is everything.
Well, we're surrounded by water.
That's true.
And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's just too simple for me, but I was under the impression that if you had a bucket of salt water,
Right.
and then you put a little tent
Right.
over the bucket of salt water, and you let the sun shine on that bucket of salt water,
Right.
the water would come up,
Yep.
and then on the corners of those
Sure.
four tents, you could put a little cup, and
Yep.
you would have water.
Exactly.
And if you really wanted to get sophisticated, we're talking like 9 volt here.
Right.
You could take a solar panel with an electrode,
Okay.
stick it in the bucket, and speed that process up.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Is that it?
Absolutely, for small amounts of water. But for my applications, I'm talking about being out at sea where you can't set up things like that. And they actually make solar stills. They've made them for years, but they're big, bulky things. My desalinator is about this size. It fits in your pocket. Everything I make fits in your pocket. Because my whole premise is if you don't carry it on you, you're not going to use it. The other invention, as long as we're talking pocket-size survival, streamer locates you. This gives you water, and my other one is the flotation. If you sink, you're going to die. And a Navy guy had a condom in his pocket, and he blew it up. And the Navy teaches you to take your pants off, tie knots in it, and go like that and capture air.
Oh, that's smart.
And yeah, it is smart. But a Navy guy didn't want to do that, and I agree with him. If I'm going to die, I kind of want my pants on. And if the shark's going to come and bite my ass, that first crunch might get a little more cushion if my pants are still on.
I'm not sure about it's going to make that much of a
Yeah, I
difference
know.
with
Well,
sharks.
it's just kind of a sidebar joke. But point is, he blew up a condom and held on to it. And people always say, "What's your next invention?" I said, "Well, 2 condoms and a string." So the idea is to have the smallest life jacket in the world, but instead of the plastic condoms, I'm using like a Kevlar bulletproof plastic that's wrapped in netting, so the stress of it is distributed around the whole sphere, and there are 2 of them. So they're 2, and you're one-way inflatable. So you just blow them up. You don't have to tie anything, and you put the strap through your arms, and it floats you.
That's like, I mean, my 4-year-old. That's how he gets in the water and learns to swim. He's got one over here,
water wings,
one
right.
over here, and then just a little bar right here. That's all you need.
Exactly. Well,
For him to stay up. I'm assuming if you're bigger, you probably.
Well, I mean, even the rescue board. The key is getting out of the water, or at least floating on the water. And my rescue board, not the paddle board, but the rescue board version where you drop it to people. If you could drop a bunch of those to the people in the Titanic, a bunch of them would have lived. Whoever found a piece of floating debris lived if they didn't get in a lifeboat. So it's all getting out of the water or being able to hang out in the water.
Well, if you watch the movie, clearly they could have shared the door going back and forth, but instead he decided to let go. And
Oh, that's right. But that made for a more dramatic movie.
that pissed me off. I would have said, just share the board and you guys could have lived happily ever after.
What, did they fight over it?
No, he
Oh,
was
the,
like,
the guy and the girl.
yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. He
Right.
says, "Oh, here, you float on the door, and I'm just gonna freeze and die."
Well,
It's like, come on.
I know. Well, it's Hollywood. Come on. Actually, my friend, they're making a movie about my good buddy, Louis Zamperini. A good buddy of mine was lost at sea for 47 days.
Whoa.
Back in World War II. He took off from Kahuku. And Unbroken is the book that was written about him. It's a huge book. Angelina Jolie's directing the movie. And I know him from the streamer. He heard about me. And on day 20 of his 47 days in a raft, they flew over him. And they didn't see him, flown over. And so when he met me, he said, "Where the hell were you 50 years ago?" Because this probably would have saved him. So we became good buddies, and he actually ended up in a Japanese POW camp after 47 days at sea. They found out he was an Olympic athlete, and they tortured him for 2.5 years. And he wished he was back on the raft. Can you imagine wishing you were back lost at sea? So anyway, that's an epic story.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well, they didn't have smartphones then, so going back to the original idea, maybe that made him a better person.
Oh, exactly. And he's an inventor himself. He had 47 days in the raft to think about stuff. We always compare notes on inventions. He invented, they didn't give him a knife, and he had to fish for sharks. He tied little hooks on his fingers, and then a bird landed on his head. He'd catch the bird, and they'd try to eat the bird, but they all threw up. There were two other guys in the. So they took the bird guts and held it up on the string, and baby sharks would jump up, and he was able to hook them with his hands with the hooks on them. That was one of his innovations.
Wow.
It's going to be a great movie.
The bare-handed shark attack.
Yeah.
It's like something out of Mortal Kombat where you tear the heart out of
Exactly, and they just loved eating those sharks instead of them eating them.
Well, it's a different world, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's sharks are at a disadvantage these days. But with that, we have to go to a quick break.
Okay.
I'm here with Dr. Robert Yonover. We're talking about Sea Rescue, his product that allows you to live when you otherwise would not be. I'm your host, Attila Seress. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We want to thank our underwriters. Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric on Maui and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company.
The High-Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Castle and Cook Hawaii, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years and revolves around its mission of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state.
Hawaii Gas, formerly the Gas Company, a proponent of the Liquefied Natural Gas Initiative, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future.
Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry with greater and faster access to the tools and data they need to make better informed property investment decisions.
I'm Nicole Horry. Thanks so much for joining us on Think Tech.
I'm Maria Kashem. See you next time.
We're back, we're live, and you're watching Think Tech Friday. I'm your host, Attila Seress. We're here with Dr. Robert Yonover, and we're talking about Sea Rescue, his new product, or should I say old product, that allows you to live when you would otherwise die while lost at sea in Antarctica, on land
That's right.
or even in space.
Exactly.
I think that's really cool to.
It's I get timely with that movie Gravity coming out, but it's true. And not, I mean, the future, there's going to be space tourists, right? They're going to lose some people in space. I mean, the numbers are small. I'm doing a projection now of all the users. There's like 130 million potential users for streamers. From boaters, hikers, skiers, snowmobilers, anyone that goes out in nature, land, water, or astronauts is a small category, but it's kind of high
What if
profile.
they could deploy this? I mean, it might not necessarily be for people, but I know that they lose. They're always losing stuff in space too.
Boeing contacted us to mark some of their testing missiles and things they don't want to lose.
Oh, like
It's
this
useful.
missile went down. Whoops.
Well, if something's worth a lot, people don't like losing it, So if it's something that they want to get back, you always want to put a target on it.
And I got to be honest. This doesn't seem like an expensive item.
No, it's not. I mean,
It's like the best investment they could possibly make.
exactly, and that's what. In fact, we're targeting. In fact, we're not selling. They're the 127 million users, but we're not really targeting them. We are, but you know what it is? It's the ultimate I love you. Not that I love you. I don't know you that well yet, but it's the ultimate gesture. So we're targeting the parents, spouses, and loved ones because this is the ultimate gift. If you give this to someone, it's saying, I love you and I want you to come home. Now, if you don't want them to come home, don't buy it. Don't give it to them.
But every soldier can have one of these.
Absolutely, and a lot of them do. I mean, all branches of the military have approved it. It's used all over. It's on all the Navy submarines. The fighter pilots, I already went through those. Aviators, it's broad. And even the guys that used it to save their lives, I can't really talk about it, but it was in theater in Afghanistan, and they needed to get vectored out for a pickup, and they had them. So, and again, it's such a simple device, and I know people.
Afghanistan or Pakistan?
No, it could have been Iraq too. I don't know.
Okay.
The details are
Certain things
sketchy.
happen in Pakistan. That's the reason I was wondering.
Yeah. Things happen all over that we don't know about, but it's all good. The people really like this though because it's discretionary. So again, you can use it and put it away, move on. And in fact, I went to a meeting years ago where they had $1 million camera systems. Everyone had search devices, but no one had targets. So the inexpensive Sea Rescue streamer target was the big hit of the parade, and especially those reflectors, because you can hit it with a beam of infrared light, and the naked eye can't see it, but the night vision goggles can see it. That's another huge advantage. Yeah, it's good stuff.
So even at nighttime, at least, if you're lost at sea and they have night vision,
Right.
they'll see it lying like real brightly, or
Definitely the chem lights. They'll probably see reflectors, moonlight or ambient light off the reflectors, and there's also thermal FLIR, forward-looking infrared. You know the helicopters when they're chasing bad guys in the suburbs, or wherever, not the suburbs, the cities, or wherever they're chasing them.
not here.
Well, you see their body heat. They actually can see, the newest FLIRs can see the streamers also. It's, believe it or not, it's reflecting the coolness of space is cooler than the ambient land next to it or water. So there's a temperature differential. That's how precise those forward-looking infrared cameras are. So that's different than night vision goggles, but again, another way to see these. And we even tried to make them invisible to the naked eye and treat them with a special plastic or chemical so only our guys can see them. But believe it or not, because they're elongate, we could never match the color exactly of the ocean. So we tried all these shades of blue and green, but you could always see the streamer. It was kind of an interesting design.
So it works too well.
Yeah, in some cases.
I want to put these in space. This would be fun.
Yeah, we could do a test. I would love to do the photography.
Because if you can get sunlight or something, could this withstand the temperature
Absolutely.
changes in space? Because it goes from freezing to hot.
Oh yeah, it can do that, but it couldn't do like a re-entry on the outside. But
No.
when the Air Force tested it for the fighter pilots, they did every test you could think of. They cooked it, humidity, wind blast, sled test, jump test. They really tested it.
Well, but it's that extreme change. Isn't it something like if you don't have your suit on,
Right.
the big spaceman suit,
Right.
it changes from like negative 300 degrees to like 300 degrees. So it's like a 600
Oh,
degree
you
change.
mean outside?
Yeah, outside in space.
I'm not sure. I mean, the chem lights might have a problem. they're not rated for such extreme cool or heat. I mean, they're within normal Earth temperatures.
How about wind? Because I know they have almost the speed of sound. The sandstorms on Mars.
Oh yeah, that could be tough too. But
700 miles
we
an
also can build them more durable for extreme. In fact, the fighter pilot version is built much more extreme. These new ones are based on the fighter pilot version, but they're not as, of course they don't have electronic lights.
Could you lower the weight factor so that it could go on a plane, or
They only weigh 5 ounces, 6 ounces.
or I'm sorry, not on a plane, on a spacecraft? Every ounce counts.
Sure, absolutely. In fact, one of the foreign militaries wants me to make it smaller. They want to replace all their CDI markers with these because they have a pocket already built. But the smaller you make it, the less of a target it is. I always tell people, buy the biggest one you can carry. We used to have an even larger one, but now we're just going with the 2 sizes.
Well, you definitely have to send one of these to Elon Musk.
Oh yeah,
for Christmas.
That would be nice.
Because in his lifetime, he's planning to go to Mars.
I'm sure. Well, I don't know if he'll go. Someone's going to go.
He thinks in his lifetime
Actually,
he's going to
NASA.
go.
I should say NASA uses these for their test aircraft, and we were talking about getting them on the shuttle when the shuttle program went. They were looking at them because they have CDI when they recover astronauts.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure what happened with that, but they may have already put it on. They buy these through the military stock system, so I don't know where they go. They go all over the world, and I always come up on people that say, "Oh, I saw that," or "I had that," or it's really cool. Good stories.
India, I think, is planning on going to space.
Yeah.
2020 was what, or 2030, something like that.
That's right. There's just markets are opening up all over.
Well, I mean, it's good to have this go into space. But why, why should we be interested in going to space?
Well, for education, I mean, you got to keep the kids back to the smartphones. If you don't have any imagination or creativity, one of the things I do a lot of is outreach education. I really like talking to kids. And that's why I'm kind of messing with you a little on the smartphones, just because I like to change people's trajectory of what they think is smart and accepted, and kind of try to get them to think from different angles. And actually, we just wrote a couple books. I teamed up with a children's author. We did a book called Brainstorm Islands. It's kind of like Curious George on steroids. It's about like me as a little inventor with my dog, getting in trouble and inventing streamers when we're lost at sea. And I invent a paddleboard for my dog that's cut out with straps so he can lay in there and dog paddle. It's cool stuff. And we got Bill Shore, a famous illustrator from the Griswells. Have you heard of that? He's done our illustration, actually.
Oh, you brought a book?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's one of the books, the kids' books.
Can I take this?
Yeah, and Ellie Crow, my co-author, she's written like 30 children's books. She's a well-known kids, and this is just the first version. But these illustrations are, we're just a bigger publisher's talking to us now, and he's going to colorize all these images. But it's pretty cool stuff. And the back has a little work section for kids to be more innovative, and it's basically a mini version of this. So my real book, the adult book, or kids, or not older kids, which is hardcore inventing. And this is really exciting. We just heard this week that they're printing a second edition, which is exciting. The New York publisher, that hardly happens to anyone. Most books just kind of sit around. But this is like a Kindle book. They just made an audio book, which is really cool. I hear some guy's voice reading some of the words I wrote.
You should have narrated that.
They didn't, the publisher, I guess they had a process and they never asked me. I would love to. I actually did narrate it when I had to proofread it. Ellie made me read the whole thing to her.
Oh no.
And she has a South African accent.
Mm-hmm.
And we were taking turns at first. I said, look, I'll read it. It was taking too long and I couldn't understand her as well. So I did read the whole book aloud. We didn't record it though.
Well, I look forward to downloading it on my iPad.
Yeah, it's exactly.
And,
that's what those devices are for.
Yeah, it's for reading. Go figure. You can actually read a lot more.
Exactly, and Wikipedia or Googling things, they're great. Don't get me wrong. They're mini encyclopedias. My problem is they're only used for that purpose 1% of the time.
So expand your mind, get out into nature.
Absolutely.
And make new discoveries.
And for your overbearing parents who want the kids to super succeed, they always ask me, what should my kid do? Take more math classes, do more science. I go, no, finger painting, clay, get dirty, get your hands dirty, make stuff, and get bored too.
Get bored.
Get bored and fail.
And fail.
Huge.
Get bored, fail, get dirty, and get out into nature. It sounds like my kids are going to be spending the weekend in the yard. And with
Exactly.
that, we are out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
joining us on the show.
My pleasure.
For those of you who missed any part of this broadcast, of course, you can go on to thinktechhawaii.com. We post all this information on YouTube, Ustream, and on Spreaker. So thank you so much for joining
My
us on the
pleasure.
show.
That was fun.
Of course, everyone who's watching, you know my slogan. Go out, have a wonderful weekend, be safe, and aloha.